So Jalen Hurts, 2 tutties. Love, no TDs, 3 picks.
Yeah.
And those 3 picks tie a career high. Jalen Hurts, Luke, this is something. Last 5 postseason games, 11 total touchdowns, no picks.
That helps. That helps the cause.
That's pretty impressive. Philly gets the win. They were actually getting booed again by their own fans. We should mention, Philly fans are like a whole other dimension.
Real quick, my first game in Philly, I remember we came out, and it was wild. They're screaming at us. Insane things are being said. 5 minutes into the game, I think we were up 7-0. Literally, I'm like, wow, they've turned on their own team. It was still the first quarter. It was the most mind-blowing thing I've ever had when it comes to fans.
It's got to be the toughest place to play, not just for football, but for every sport. A.J. Brown's reading a book on the sideline. Yes, they get the win. Yes, they await the winner of that Monday night game. But what confidence do you have in this team right now, in the Philadelphia Eagles?
Not much. Not much. And they have the talent to do it. But, again, you sit here and you talk about kind of that, whatever, extra effort, that team camaraderie, whatever it is, that grit. And you watch kind of Philadelphia today, and you're like, man, there were moments in this game early where Green Bay, you start with a kickoff fumble, you throw a pick. I think that in the first half, the turnover margin was -3. And you expect this team to come out here, and there's blood in the water. If we were in Texas, they'd say there's chum in the water. Okay? Come out here and bury these guys. You got a +3 turnover margin in the first half. We're not reading books. It's all hands on deck. They want to mess up. We got to take the knife and stick it in them and twist it and twist it and twist it until they're done. They're down. And instead, it was like this thing lingered, and we let Green Bay kind of hang around, and Green Bay continued to make mistakes, which was wild. But I'm like, man, for a game where Green Bay had so many issues, 15-yard penalties for no reason, missed field goals,
We showed you all the injuries.
Yes,
right?
the injuries. I expected a Philadelphia team, again, to have that like killer instinct and bury them. And what gets nervous for me about this team moving forward is, who's got a killer instinct? The Lions. I know they don't see them next week, but if they win, they're going to have to see them. I think that you can also put Minnesota. I think Matthew Stafford, if he ends up there, you could say Matthew Stafford's got a bit of a killer instinct in him. You just watched the Washington Commanders. I mean, you don't think that team, again, I don't expect them to beat the Lions, but if a miracle happens, like at this point of the year, it matters. And that's kind of my message is like all this drama and ridiculousness. Like I was very let down by their performance today, especially because Green Bay handed them a chance to blow them out. I
mean, Saquon just kneeling down at the end of the game is almost like a microcosm of how the team approaches everything, right? Okay, Jordan Love, he signed that massive extension. If you went into this game as a total, non-fan of either of these teams and said you could have Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts, you would have taken Jordan Love for sure.
For sure.
But he's got the second highest cap hit in the NFL right now going into next season. They're out in the wild card round. Are you maybe out a little bit on Love at this point?
I'm sweating. I'm definitely sweating that. I think the guy has all the ability in the world.
Yep.
But I don't think he's had necessarily a signature moment. You look at their losses this year, all the good teams, and you're kind of hoping that when you pay a guy 55 schmil that he's going to make those big plays in a game like today. And I get that there are a lot of things that happen. This offensive line struggled. And they had an injury, and there's a lot of penalties. He had a ton of injury at wide receivers, but he also made a lot of poor decisions. You just saw a brutal throw. Even this, I sit here, Jay, and I'm like, I get you're down 12. You got a timeout. There's 2 minutes left. Like, where's the fight? Even that whole drive leading to that moment, it was like, we're probably not going to win. And for as much as you probably aren't, if you're getting paid $55 million, you need to be frothing at the mouth. Like, hey, it's 12 points. Yeah, we're going to need an onside kick, but I'm going to drive these boys down the field. We're going to make it happen, and we're going to give ourselves a shot.
Yeah.
And you never felt that energy the whole game. And it was funny because the only spark that I thought this team got was from Josh Jacobs on the run that we watched.
Yep.
And that's what was disappointing is because, and again, I'm not saying that he's not a good leader. He's obviously young. I don't know the guy. But I do think that there's a part of his game that needs to develop, and that's kind of coming into this thing and saying, I'm the man, and I'm going to take this game over. Josh Allen in the second half today.
Yeah.
That's what Josh Allen did. We've seen Mahomes do it a million times. Lamar can clearly do it. There's been some questions whether he can do it in the playoffs. We're going to find out next week. I was disappointed that there wasn't a little more emotion, I think, from the whole Green Bay Packers offense. I thought their defense did well, minus Josh Jacobs.
Going to be an interesting offseason in Green Bay for sure.
Very
How do they set up for next year? How close do they really think they are?
And that's the thing, is you can look at this from different lenses, Jay, because there is a line of thinking here, and Jordan Love did say it, where it's like, you know, we played Philadelphia, we got injured, we had some brutal penalties, we miss a kick. The kick drives me nuts. He throws a couple bad picks, you know, the fumble, and it's like, if we clean up our stuff, did Philly beat us today, or did we beat ourselves? So it is this kind of balance when you're evaluating your own team of what is the problem here. And it's, you know, it's a tough thing to answer.
Now, the Eagles, with the win, are waiting to see who they'll play next Sunday, and it will be the winner of what might be the best game of Super Wild Card Weekend.
It's going to have some fireworks.
Vikings and Rams. Now, this one, of course, will be played in Arizona due to the wildfires in Los Angeles, Minnesota. A slight 2.5-point favorite. You can see pregame coverage starting at 6 Eastern. What are you expecting from this one, buddy?
Absolute fireworks. I mean, you're sitting here with some of the best wide receivers on both teams in the NFL. Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. You're going to see toughness there, I'll tell you that. Two great coaches, McVay, O'Connell. This thing should be an absolute great game. Should be. But we'll see.